My name is Peter Lyons. I'm an attorney here in Boston. And I guess I'm better known as Tacky's dad. So, my fame was fleeting, Tina, you know that. So, in any event, we're here to present a proposal for 50 Salem Street. And with me tonight is a representative of the owner of the building, which is Linear Retail, Greg George, and two representatives from Chase Bank, Brooke Cabrera and Chris Hoyt. And what we'd like to do, we have not filed anything in ISD as of yet, because we had different concepts in mind for this location. As you well know, there's been heavy turnover at that corner location, which I think you all call the entryway to the north end. And it's been a very hard site to maintain with a permanent tenant. We believe we've found one, and a very good one, not only for the location, but for the community itself. We have the concepts that we were looking at. As you well know, when Pete's Coffee was in there, there was a restaurant and a 36A license for the patio outside. The 36A license is still in effect, and we were thinking of trying to mold the bank concept into a cafe like Stephanie's on Newbury or something like that. However, as you well know, liquor licenses only in order to benefit of the given address. So we were trying to work a deal with Damien next door and have him run the cafe. But you can't really take the food, you need a CV license and a liquor license for his establishment. But unfortunately, it's a different address and you'd have to go through that whole process. In any event, we're still toying with the idea of having a sit-down area in front, the patio, which Chase will maintain, and it would just be for come as you will, just like on the Greenway. There'd be seats, you could bring your own sandwich down from going bananas or wherever, and your drink, and utilize that, and Chase would maintain that. We're also contemplating an ATM at that location. Now, with regard to the zoning, the bank would be a change of use from a restaurant to a bank location along with the ATM. Both of those are conditional, so we'd have to seek your support to support us at the Zoning Board of Appeal. Right now, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Greg and let him describe exactly what the exterior would look like. We understand that signage will be an issue. We will work with the BRA on design review, have that go along a parallel path as we go through this process. And I think that Greg can tell you exactly where our concept stands at this point in time.
So as far as the physical aspect of the building, nothing will change. There's no addition to the building, no height increase. Building is as is. I believe the paint color is staying the same. The only thing that would be exterior would be signage, which, as Peter alluded to, would have to go before BRA for approval. So.
The other thing that I'd like to point out is I think you've all noticed, and most of you have been in this community as long as I have been, Rebello's was there years ago. That was one of Aaron's favorite hangouts. And
That's a long time ago.
yeah. When we get old.
I remember when it was True Freeze.
Yeah.
Fish store. That's how old I am.
Were you with Citizens back then, Karen?
I was.
Yeah. And then it turned into Goody Glovers. And then it went to Pete's Coffee. Unfortunately, none of them could make a living there, and they turned over quickly. And I think what we'd like, and I'm certainly sure what the neighborhood council would like, is some stability on that corner. And I think we have a great opportunity here to make that, you know, a very useful corner. And also to address issues such as the homeless issue, which we all know generated from the Greenway and things like that. Chris will address these things as we move on in the presentation with regard to security and closing down ATM sites so that you don't have what you had around the corner with the homeless people getting into the ATM window or slot and sleeping there overnight and disturbing patrons. We have a way of handling that which I think is a little more progressive than what you've seen in the past. You want to talk about
I
those
could
kinds
address
of
that
things?
specific
Sure.
topic. So listen, Chase has a big footprint, you guys know that, across the nation. And so we see a lot of urban, and we're very, very deep into the urban atmosphere and the fabric of this country, quite frankly. And so the way we deal with that situation is we just don't toy with the idea. It's an unsafe experience for our customers, not a great customer experience. So we'll shut those avenues down when needed so that card swipes don't occur and you just bolt it down at 7 o'clock at night. And that's essentially, we do that in New York, we do it in Chicago, where I actually hail from. Any urban environment, we address that because it's not ATMs are a convenience play. Our money's made at what we offer to the community, what we bring into the community, and that's the day-to-day life and vitality that we try and, that we do. We dump back into the community, whether it be loans and access of our services, and as opposed to the convenience play. So again, if it doesn't work out, we just simply don't activate it. It's just not, we don't make money at ATMs. Again, it's a convenience, it's a billboard and a convenience to the community.
Where's your nearest Chase?
So our first branch opened in Dedham at the end of, or the middle of December, and our downtown crossing location opens tomorrow, right at Winter and Washington Street.
Where is it?
Right on the corner mall.
Oh, really?
Right, right.
So the bandage of the corner stays, and we're taking the bottom signage, and it opens promptly tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So if I'm not mistaken, this location is 2 floors, right?
Yes.
So walk us through what's gonna look like. Are you looking at 2 floors of cafe space, or just the first floor is ATM and the second, can you paint?
No, the cafe would only be outside.
Okay, so what's
Do we have the
making up
floor?
the
Yeah,
other
there's
floors?
floating around.
Yeah.
So we'll have 2 floors
Make it your way.
of sales positions because we have an elevator in there. We can meet accessibility requirements. There's one thing we don't want to do is impose a client, first off, we lose clients as soon as they get a set of stairs. We know that like that. But with an elevator, there's an opportunity to bring clients up there and engage them in either a conference room environment or if it's a set up meeting. It allows us then to convey a little bit differently. Most of the activity will occur on the first floor. That's where our vitality is. It really is the first floor. The second floor is overflow calling and then structured events with clients. But because we have the elevator, it affords us an opportunity to leverage that second floor.
Do you have other copies for us?
Yeah.
I'll pass it.
Yeah.
Yep. For conference room, back of house, break rooms, and things like that for employees. It's a very narrow space, but we've successfully built off of this model in Philadelphia now. We've opened up actually 16th and Walnut 16th. You'll see this is almost the exact same footprint, and we just opened up their branch in December. So we have a proven model that works for us, as opposed to, hey, boy, is this really going to work for a bank? It does for us. And the way we function as a branch, we just work a little bit differently than most banks. We get out on the floor. We embrace the community as they come in the door. We utilize our EATMs a little bit differently. So it's not teller-driven, it's engagement zones. And you'll see on the plans, there's different ways you can meet with a client. You can go into a booth. You can meet at a comfort zone. We have iPad-driven technology that allows us to a little bit more flexibility. It's a little bit more vibrant than you would assume most banks would be.
And I do know some feedback from even the Pete's when it went in there, because obviously it's the Pete's aside, it is an important area within the community in terms of, and I know you addressed it, just signage and everything else, because it is, as you come into, the historic part of the city.
Yes. to address that outdoor area, we look at something that's, that lasts, it can't walk off at night. So there's ways we can go about that design as well. We have to be realistic about it. We're not gonna, most likely not gonna put out an umbrella that's gonna vanish overnight. But there's sensitive ways we can manage it. Again, our branches aren't functioning, that they don't make money, taking care of an outdoor area, but we embrace that because it allows us then to give back to the community. And that's really what we're all about, quite frankly. And it also allows us to cross-sell. Somebody's sitting out there, there's no reason a banker can't come out and say hi and say, hey, do you have a Chase account? So we embrace those opportunities, different avenues in how you can approach the public and your neighbors.
So one of the things that if you come in, the community won't necessarily get is investment, meaning a local business is not gonna make money because you got the national, obviously. So with that being the case, how do you give back to the community?
Sure.
What are some examples you can point to?
Sure. So a perfect example is, well, the influx that we dedicated to Boston proper itself, and that was announced by Jamie Dimon at we had a Hard Hat event at Winter, Washington. He was there with the mayor and many other individuals from the community to talk about what our dedication to Boston is. The biggest fear is that we become another bank that, touch and go in Boston and then lift up anchors and float away. No, we're here to stay. And so what we do with that is that dedicated money then to small business loans and all those types of events, and that branch has the same access to those offerings as well, in conjunction with local neighborhood activities. It's up to the discretion of the banker to engage with the neighborhood because they want to be part of that neighborhood and intertwine. So if there's an event down the street and they're approached by local businesses, they'll want to be part of that. They'll want people to know, hey, we're here for you, and we're also here during your day-to-day lives.
Well, and that's the theory, but I guess my question is,
Yeah.
let me ask a better question. What have you done concretely in, say, Dedham, to give back to the community? Because, for example, I'm told that not all the banks here in the North End are good community partners. They don't necessarily give back to the community,
Sure.
even though community banks there. So it's nice to be told that it behooves a branch manager to want to give back, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do that. So my question is,
Yeah.
what concrete evidence or what concrete examples can you think of in Dedham or any else in the Bay State where we're just giving back?
We're so new, I'd be hard pressed to make up a storyline because there isn't one yet. I
Well,
mean,
but you guys
we're
have a
only
branch
3
in
months
Dedham,
old.
right?
Pardon me?
You have a branch in Dedham.
It opened in the middle of December.
Yeah.
It just opened.
So it's about 2
in
months old.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
So we're so new to the market, I'll be honest with you. Do we have proof in the pudding? Not yet. But I can tell you that what we've done across this country, that I can stand behind every word I said.
We've discussed this amongst ourselves, and I think we've discussed it with the public officials also, that, the Taste of the North End, for example, we'd be more than happy to be a sponsor with Donata, with the Fraterolis and everyone that gets involved in that. The feasts that go on here in August, we want to become an integral part of the community. Little leagues, the NEAA, all of those kind of things, we'd like to, support and, have the youth of this community prosper from our involvement in the community.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that, but you're from the community and you're able to kind of ramble off of things that actually make sense. I'd like to hear about examples in Philly. You've been in Philly or wherever you are where you're benefiting the community directly, because you certainly know how to answer that question, but I'd like
Sure.
to hear from you guys.
Sure. Well, exactly. I mean, it's all community oriented, and whoever walks in those doors. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. We could certainly get more information back to you as required, but
Sure.
certainly I don't have examples that here's a picture of the baseball team that they support. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I head up construction, but I do know that we support those endeavors, and we have across all of our legacy branches historically. That's really the best way I can put it. to be honest with you.
So I think Chase, as a partner with Linear, landlord of the building, would look to different things. I live across the bridge in Charlestown. I've lived there for 20 years. And so there are different things that I've mentioned to Chase that might be worthy endeavors for them to get involved in. And I know I've spoken with Marie as well for Linear to get involved in as well. And just like Chase, would step up and donate to different things in the community, we've actually talked about Linear as well getting involved as well.
Sure. One other question I have is, on this proposed first floor plan, the cafe display, that's inside. So can you talk me a little
Yeah.
through that?
Yeah, so the nomenclature on that plan, so the cafe essentially, it's on the first, the cafe essentially is just, it's coffee service. And that's what we call it within our design. It's just a place to grab a cup of coffee, spend time at the branch if you like. You know, the person grab a cup of coffee, sit outside, quite frankly, if they so chose. But that's what that cafe means. It's not a food service by any means, but it's, I think.
So you wouldn't have like a barista serving or anything like
Exactly.
that?
Self-serve.
To more clearly answer the question, the first and second floor is bank use, but we'd activate the retail outside where the chairs and the awnings would be.
Okay,
So people grab a free cup of coffee.
that's all.
Yes, exactly. With the
But you
cafe
wouldn't be
nomenclature.
making money off of
It
that.
wouldn't be like a
model.
Capital One where you have
Yeah.
the coffee. It wouldn't be a blended kind of
Right.
hybrid. It would be bank use inside and then the chairs outside.
So literally,
And
we
that
would-
would, that, there's no plan for that to evolve, because that would be key in the decision making.
Absolutely not. We're not about that, and nor have we even toyed with that. It's really 100% a cup of coffee a customer comes in to offer.
Sure.
That's all it is.
And I really urge you to go to Downtown Crossing after it opens tomorrow because you'll go in and it's a very comfortable, casual atmosphere, comfortable, low seating. We actually call a part of our floor plan the living room, so it really is inviting and a warm, not kind of that cold banking atmosphere that you expect out of most typical branches.
May I ask, Maria, I'm sorry, I didn't bother you.
Oh,
but
yeah, we
the-
have the butters meeting
Yeah,
at
tonight,
6
right?
o'clock tonight, and no objections would be a
Okay.
butters.
Is anyone else on that council?
Mr. Ryan, so you're changing it from a restaurant use?
Yeah.
So what are you changing it to again?
Well, it would be retail bank.
Retail bank.
Yeah.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Victor?
I have a suggestion. It's a very simple one, based on what I've seen at Bank of America on Hanover Street, where apparently they've had the same problem with homeless sleeping inside, because for a while they were closing at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. But there was no sign there saying they were closed. So people were putting in their ATM cards and swearing and
No, it's a very good
why they
point.
couldn't get in.
Yeah. And
So
that's-
simply put a sign on.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a very good point. We've had feedback. In fact, coming out of Chicago, we had the exact same feedback. Now our sign does say the hours by which we will operate very clearly.
Right on the.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. No, trust me, it's frustrating when I go to it. And I go to a company.
One other question that I have is, can you define the word maintain? Will maintain the property outside, the cafe area, what does that include? Because everybody has a different version of what maintain is, and we want to make sure that
Yeah.
you're kind of operating within the.
So our primary concern as a company is life safety, number one, accessibility, right there, 1A. And then maintain, because that's our brand. You know, we respect our brand holistically. I think you've heard that from a lot of big companies, I'm sure. But more importantly, if that's going to be an offering that we stand behind and we want customers to enjoy, we're going to present that and maintain it accordingly, just like we would the interior of our branch. So that's really the best way to explain how we would maintain it.
So.
And our
trash pickup,
facilities.
garbage
pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a facilities team that manages all of our portfolio. Once we build the asset, they take it on and they own it during the duration of that lease.
And separately, Linear has a third-party property management company where if we saw that wasn't being picked up and handled, then they would step in and be able to clean up after that.
And unless I'm misstating, Tanya's, the basis behind that is because that area in general, of course, with graffiti across the street too, being shut down, you know, it's been notorious for trash and other
Yeah.
problems, so.
Understood.
And just to speak to responsiveness to graffiti and whatnot, we have a signed lease in Coolidge Corner, right at the corner of Beacon Street, and there was graffiti just last week. One of our branch employees noted it. It's still under construction, but within a day, our team had already become aware of it and mobilized to remedy the situation.
Even better, because I meant cafe graffiti when I was there. but-
Right.
There's graffiti on that building.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that too, that should be. Yes, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm Kirsten Hoffman from 26 Stillman Street. I'm also with Friends of Katoa Park, which is right, behind that property. So I wanted to ask about what specifically the plans are for trash collection and disposal. Is it going to be interior to your building? Because we have, as people mentioned, huge problems with trash over there that just don't go away, particularly with Morton Street back there and the barrels.
you know, that's great feedback. And the flexibility we have as a team is when we know that that is a problematic area for any neighborhood, we actually have our cleaning crews that come in every 2 days. And again, we don't produce a ton of trash. We're not paperless yet, but we don't.
Particularly the cafe.
Well, the cafe would be more a byproduct of somebody walking up with their own glass. I mean, we'll certainly have trash collection for them, but we're not a
So
collection.
we'd have tables and chairs outside where customers and just the general public can sit down and enjoy a meal, but we won't be serving.
Okay, so what specifically is going to happen with the trash that's produced at the cafe? Is it interior trash storage, or how does it look?
So with the interior trash, we don't anticipate that there'd be a lot of trash generated from the banks. I mean, when Pete's was there, they actually had 3 totes that were outside on the sidewalk. We actually weren't allowed to use behind the property on Warren Street because we don't about that property. So the trash bins were out front and locked. You know, we'll monitor the amount of trash generated, but if the outdoor seating is utilized in the way that Chase is envisioning, then perhaps there's, you know, an outdoor receptacle that's put there and then taken out nightly and brought in the bank until it's picked up by the trash.
I think the concern is if people are bringing, it may not be generated from your bank,
Yep.
but if you're gonna have a cafe out there, you're certainly responsible
Good
for
point.
it. Right, so having receptacles there, dealing with the parameters of what's actually right and the hours that there's trash pickup is gonna be important, otherwise you'll be considered not a good neighbor. Other thing that I'd just like to quickly say is it might be good to have Wi-Fi so people can sit, and that might be like a way to give back.
And
to the
Wi-Fi is a
community.
national program. All of our branches include Wi-Fi at opening day.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think a lot of us would really like to see a North End business or a local business go in there, but there's something to be said for stability, lack of vacancy, which is what we've seen, and just continuity. So, you know, hopefully, when you guys do come, you'll do everything you say you're gonna do.
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Tanya's talking about with the trash receptacles. I mean, like how we're talking about, like Paulie's going bananas. We're just getting people just walking off Salem Street. They want to come sit there, and there's no seats in the greenway, so they'll sit over in front of your building. I mean, having one, if not multiple, trash receptacles outside. I mean, because you think during the summer with all the tourism, everyone, if they see a bench outside in front of North End, they're going to grab it, they're going to be eating, doing anything.
Definitely great feedback, and again, right up there with the concept of the worst thing we could do is have a trash heap in front of our brand, so we definitely maintain that. And again, it's an all-in situation. If we say we're going to do that, we'll definitely deliver what's required to make sure that it's maintained. Absolutely.
Just one more thing that I just want to reiterate. This cafe display, for me, it feels a little weird that you would put that in there because it's just a receptacle with a coffee canister.
Well,
that feels like it's
a misnomer. I guess it's more a technical internal language or jargon we use internally
Okay.
to explain our design, but
Yeah.
that display wall then does have shelving that has different messages that are part of our brand. So it's more dynamic than just that coffee with a big wall. But that wall has slatted, it's actually detailed out slatted wall, grade 8-inch blue, in conjunction with a set of stepped shelves that we then put what I'll call chopsticks.
That's something we can see at the downtown crossings.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It's more of like
All right.
architectural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just
denim,
want
if
to
you
make
look-
sure I have it on record.
No, absolutely.
No.
Hey, listen, if you live out toward Dedham, that's fully installed as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And just to give you one more piece of information, Chris introduced himself as the head of construction, but I'm the market director of real estate, so I'm the one that's boots on the ground, finding locations, negotiating deals with, Greg from Linear. So I live and breathe this territory. I cover all of New England, which is inclusive of the entire state of Rhode Island. We're up in New Hampshire, and our goals for the next 5 years are really 60 branches and over 100 ATMs. So we're really here. We're here to stay, and we're excited to be here. So.
Could you maybe after the meeting just give us your contact information?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd be more than happy to. And any issues, you can always feel free to pick up the phone and call me. So.
Unless there's anyone else in the audience that has a question, I think we can ask the council to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.